All right, and we are back. We are back. We are going to be looking at our charts here. Going to chart 1. So during our energy exchange, we go to chart 6A and 6B, our discordant energies and our positive energies. And now we go to chart 1 and we just say, what's going on here with this excess? So for those of you who didn't see the energy exchange video, hello. Today we are diving into what might be the root of excess. And how do we open ourselves up or unblock ourselves to our self-control? And so I find this one very interesting. Again, this is just the pendulum doing the pendulum's thing, and spirit guiding, the collective guiding, all of you guiding the answers, all of you, sharing your information with me, sharing your thoughts, feelings, your needs, your desires. I'm just tapping into the collective awareness, and you all, the collective awareness and spirit, are sharing this information about what we need to be looking at today. So thanks for the information. Thanks for everybody willing to open themselves up to, being seen and being explored. That's just what we're doing here. We're seeing, we're exploring. We're not coming at it from a place of judgment. I'm not here to criticize, critique. We're just here to offer an opportunity for insight, an opportunity for reflection, and then an opportunity to let go of anything we don't really want to hang on to anymore. So that's why we're here. Let's work together on this. So we're going to look at excess. We're going to chart 1 and we're going to say, as always, let's find the root. So what is the root of this excess right now? Again, this could mean lots of different things and lots of different clearings, but for today, we're just going to say for today, for the collective that we're working on right now, what is the root of this excess? So what is going on here with this root of excess? And it's taking us back to chart 6A. It's taking us back to, I'm going to put these guys on. I set them over here for a reason. So it's taking us back to chart 6A, which is this discordant energies chart. Oh, now we're going to get weird. We're going to get weird reflections in my glasses. So what is it? What is it that is the root? Oh, wow. Is this brain damage or low self-esteem? Low self-esteem. Okay. Well, isn't that interesting? Okay, maybe we're going to take those off because that's bothering me. So low self-esteem. So the root of the excess is low self-esteem. So if our self-esteem is low, okay, so we are this spirit, right? We're this spiritual body. We are this spiritual being. And if the esteem we have for ourselves is low, we're going to try to fill that space up to get back to wholeness, to get back to completion. We're going to try to fill that space up with other things. And so that's not serving us. That is not serving us, right? We need to be in recognition and understanding and belief and commitment to the truth that we are whole as we are. We do not need to fill ourselves up with other things. So then we're going to look at our charts and we're going to say, what can we do to clear out this root? So what can we do to clear out the root? How do we pull it out? What do we need to do? And we're going to Grandma's Good Advice chart, chart 19, Grandma's Good Advice. What do we need to do to clear out this root of low self-esteem? Take a break. Take a break from some things for a minute. Take a break from the excess. Just take a break. You don't have to give it all up forever. And I know sometimes that's the easiest way to quit something, right? Is when you don't say, oh, I can never have another drink again. I can never date again. I can never go gambling again. I can never shop again. I can never do any of the things, any of the excesses that I'm doing. You don't have to say never again, because that's a lot. And it might even be a lie. But we can say is, I can take a break from this right now. I can take a break from this to be able to give myself the opportunity to observe myself in wholeness without all of those other things being present. So Spirit is saying, take a break. And so we're just going to say, what can we do to help us with that? Is there anything we can do here on these charts to help us be able to take that break, to be able to release this root? So dysfunction of God consciousness at the spirit level. Again, I always see this as just disconnection from spirit, disconnection from God, disconnection from seeing ourselves as the spiritual beings that we are. And again, if we were believing in our understanding of ourselves as spirit, as God consciousness, we would not feel, like this was what we were filled with. We would feel whole. We would feel complete. But we don't. We don't feel complete because we don't see ourselves as spiritual beings. We don't see ourselves as God consciousness. And so we must fill up to find wholeness through other things, through excess. So again, what's the message? In order to connect with God consciousness, in order to connect with yourself as spirit, take a break from all that stuff. Just quiet down. Just slow down for a second. You can go a week without filling yourself up with these other things. And in that week, can you sit down and say, let me actually see myself as whole. Let me write down all the things about me that show that I am whole and complete as I am. Let me write down and meditate on all the things about me that show that I am miraculous and that I am a part of God consciousness. Whew, okay, so we're just gonna go with that. So is there anything else, yes or no? Is there anything else that we need to look at as it relates to this root? So it just moved to a yes. So we're going to go yes. So what else do we want to look at as it comes to this root of low self-esteem? So we're going to chart 21, final items in this one universe. Desire to suffer. This comes up all the time, you guys. All the time. All the time. If you've watched even probably 3 of my videos, desire to suffer comes up. So we are just releasing everyone from this desire to suffer. And you can say it now too. God does not want me to suffer. I released myself from the desire to suffer. I release myself from my desire to suffer. I feel so lucky I get to do these clearings every day, because every time I say these words, I release myself from my desire to suffer. And I can feel it. I literally feel it in my body. So give it a try. Give it a try. Sit down for a second and really mean it and say, I release myself from my desire to suffer. And see how your body softens. Like, what happens inside of your physical body when you say those words? Say it again. I release myself from my desire to suffer. And I open myself up to the desire for joy. I open myself up to a desire for love. I open myself up for a desire for God and a connection to source and spirit. I desire wholeness. I desire to see myself as whole. I open myself up to seeing myself as whole. I open myself up to the truth of who and what I really am. Okay, is there anything else we want to look at when it comes to the root? Now I'm getting a no. Now I'm getting a no, if you can see that. Okay, so now we're going to look at self-control. So what percent, let's go to our percentage charts. What percent are we open to our self-control? So what percent are we open to our self-control? 100%. Brilliant. What percent are we blocked to our self-control? 100%. Okay, so now we go to the charts and we're like, what's this block? Can we blast out the block? So we're going to research. Right? This is the research portion, and then we destroy it. Research and destroy the blocks. Research and destroy the blocks. Okay. If you don't want to destroy the blocks, I kind of like destroying the blocks because I'm a Scorpio. Just like tear it all down. If you don't want to destroy the blocks and you want to be an alchemist and you want to transform that block into something else, we can do that too. But for me, for now, we're going to research and destroy. I'm on my submarine. Okay. How to change your life. We're going back to Grandma's Good Advice chart. We're going back to Grandma's Good Advice. So what's Grandma's Good Advice now about this block? Blocked to receiving praise. Blocked to praising ourselves and blocks to receiving praise. So we're just releasing ourselves from those blocks now. Is there any specific information you want to give us about those blocks to receiving praise so that we can really kind of name them and call them out? Name them and call them out. So what are the specific blocks to us receiving praise? It just says something else. It's this extra nagging thing that needs cleared. So we're just saying, Spirit, clear it on all levels, on all layers, in all depths, in all directions, in every universe, in every lifetime, in every parallel, in every reality, in every iteration of ourselves that has ever been created. You know, iterations in my mind, there's millions of iterations of ourselves, right? The iteration of me that, you know, this other person has created in their mind. The iteration of myself that I've created in my own mind. The stories I've told about myself is an iteration of myself. And for every story you've ever told about yourself that is still existing out there that you haven't reclaimed and you haven't, you know, edited, that is an iteration of you. So if you've been sitting with a girlfriend and talking shit about yourself, that's an iteration of you that now exists out there in the world. There's this version of you that you have created by speaking words of, you know, deficit about yourself, words of depletion, words of I am not enough, words of I suck, you know, whatever that is. And you know, or I always act like this. I always do this. This stuff always happens to me. That's an iteration of yourself you've just created. When you say XYZ always happens to me, this is how things always turn out, there's no room for anything else to get in. That in itself is excess, this excess energy of this thing always happens to me. So, you know, be thinking about that before you speak about yourself. Be thinking, is this a version of myself I actually want to create? Is this really what I want to be doing right now? Is this really what I want to be saying right now? Whew, yeah. Okay, so let's go back and look. So now what percent are we blocked to our self-control? 60%. So let's chip away. What are some more things blocking us to our self-control? 8B. 8B is our other archetypes pre-programmed before creation. Is this health abuse or self-forgiveness? Self-forgiveness. So our unwillingness to forgive ourselves is blocking ourselves. Yeah, I mean, this was an issue for me up until probably 2 years ago. I have a friend who really helped me work through this. But yeah, if you don't forgive yourself, you can't see yourself as whole, the whole beautiful being that you are. You are just, you have the glasses of guilt and shame on, and those glasses will absolutely always taint you and prevent you from seeing yourself as whole. And again, when we don't see ourselves as whole, that's when the excess come in. We're drawing in other things to make us whole. We're needing to, and those things will actually never make you feel whole, because that's not what fills us up, actually. Those things are just distractions, or they're, you know, whatever, things that we're trying to over-identify with. So I release you now to self-forgiveness. Can you forgive yourself? This has come up all the time, you know, and for me, forgiveness self-forgiveness has best come through a somatic process. And by that, I mean crying. Like crying in my guilt and in my shame for the things that I have done that have hurt me or hurt other people, and then crying in forgiveness of myself, and allowing that forgiveness to really penetrate into my body, and then letting my body release that through tears, through shaking, through deep crying. And I don't just mean a few tears rolling down your cheeks. I mean like crying, letting it out, letting it go. And maybe for you, crying isn't the method. Maybe for you, exercise is the method. Maybe for you, chopping wood is the method. Maybe for you, running is the method. Maybe for you, going to the boxing ring is the method. Whatever the method is, though, move your physical body. And while you're moving your physical body, we're calling in self-forgiveness. And we're saying, as we are punching the punching bag, I forgive myself. And if you want to call out the specific things you forgive yourself for, that's great. I forgive myself for betraying my best friend. I forgive myself for lying to my partner. I forgive myself for letting everybody down. I forgive myself for taking that extra drink. I forgive myself for whatever it may be, losing my job. I forgive myself for all these things. And this is stuff that could have happened years ago. Many of you are holding on to things that you did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. There are many, many people who are deep, deep into their senior years, and they're still carrying self-hate for things they did when they were young. So we're just asking Spirit to release us from that and to inspire and motivate us to forgive ourselves. All right, what percent are we now blocked to self-control? What percent are we now blocked to self-control? Wow, well, we're like 5%. So let's look at the final 5%. How to change your life. We're going back to somebody's grandma is really present today in this clearing. I don't know who you are. I don't think it's mine, but she's here. Replace worry. How many people are using excess and external things to soothe their anxiety? I've been there. How about instead of worrying and then you're trying to soothe that worry and cope with that worry with other things and excesses, what if we soothed that worry with self-love and self-forgiveness? What if we soothed that worry with the belief that we are connected to Spirit and we are loved by Spirit? What if we did that? Just asking you to think about it. Okay, is there anything else here we want to look at today? Anything else here we want to look at? Wow, I'm getting a no. So when anytime it just circles, so we did it, right? We did it, folks. We found the root, we cleared out the root, we blasted out the root, we looked at what our block is to our self-control, and now we're just saying, wow, thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for getting that work done in 15 minutes. Whew, we're gonna do 100% of mop up. And we are going to find our replacement energy. We're finding our replacement energy. So we already know we're going to have more self-control. So that's great. And now we're also having freedom. Freedom. Freedom from excess. I love this. I love this. Freedom from excess. Okay, everybody. Don't forget, you can reach out to me in a number of different ways. We can have all kinds of different conversations. We can do all sorts of different clearings. We can talk about all sorts of different things. If you just want to ask questions, if you want to know a little bit more about what I do and how it might benefit you or impact you, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on so many different platforms. And again, I do Zoom sessions. So if this is like really kind of interesting and intriguing to you, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your day and that you're feeling empowered to have some self-control and release yourself from some excess. And we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.